I've been informed that since this is my show, I get to name this segment whatever I want to name it.
Yeah, you do.
Sam Kephart.
It's your sandbox.
That's my sandbox. Well, we're talking about whether political expedience is a science or an art. I think some people probably would call it both.
I think for the technocrats and the typical politician we have, it's a science. If you look at somebody like a Winston Churchill or a statesman, it's an art.
You know, when you bring up Churchill, I just have to remember some of the absolute hilarious things in his life. He was a very direct kind of guy. I don't know that he was really much with political expedience, was he?
No, he was, and you know, and he obviously the public felt that way because he was in and out of power a couple times.
Was it
in his
Lady
career.
Esther who said, "If sir, if you were my husband, I'd give you a poison to drink," and he said, "Well, if you were my wife, I'd drink it."
I'd gladly drink it.
So,
yeah.
But you know, unfortunately today, these power brokers are drinking the Kool-Aid and they're passing it around, and the label should be political expedience. They sacrifice principle and say, let's do the politically expedient thing to keep our stranglehold on power.
Yes, and you know, you mentioned in another segment, well, there's a two-party system. I would actually challenge you on that thought slightly. I would say there's a one-party system with two apparent forces.
You're saying they're drinking out of the same pitcher.
Yes, and I would say there's the elites, and then there's those in power that want to stay in power, and those that are out of power wanting to get in, but all attached to the same general goal and philosophy.
So, Sam, how do we break that cycle of political expediency? People who are more concerned about politics than principle, they're more concerned about position than they are about policy. How do we break that cycle?
Well, I think there's what I call a satanic anesthesia, if you will, and everybody's, not everybody, a lot of people are breathing the same air, drinking the same Kool-Aid politically with both parties. And sadly, I think we're going to have to reach an off-the-cliff situation where either people and or our finances and or our children or something really god-awfully bad happens before people wake up and start paying attention. So I don't see it happening.
So you're saying that these power brokers have been given license to do the politically expedient things that aren't right for our country because American voters are so apathetic that they've tolerated it and they've been uneducated in casting their votes.
Yeah,
close.
Yes, the other night I was in a high-end bar here in Rapid City, and a couple came.
Well,
in.
we're not going to talk about that on this segment.
No.
Well, that's better than a low-end bar.
No.
I'll give you that.
A couple came by and said, "We're Tea Party conservatives," and they went on and on and on. And I said, "Great," and then they proceeded to show me a picture on their smartphone of them with John Boehner. And he's such a good conservative, and I'm thinking, you're a Tea Party conservative, and you love John Boehner? And in their own minds,
what's wrong with this picture?
No, and to be fair, this is what we're finding out. You have these people who really think they're conservative, and they have no clue what the term means.
You know, you're right, and South Dakotans particularly, we're a bastion of conservative thought, and South Dakota.
Our conservatives are better than everyone else.
South Dakota people, by and large, are strong, conservative, principled people, but they have been, I'm going to use the word duped into thinking that if you have an R behind your name, that it makes you conservative. We're seeing in debates where the Democrats are actually touting their conservative credentials. The word conservative has come to mean little or nothing.
It's a phony term anymore. And I have to tell you, I know some people in this state who are registered Democrats who certainly are socially, in terms of social issues, more left of us, but who, from a business, economics, job, national defense, are equally as conservative as we are. So it's a very funny thing right now. So I think you have to be careful using those terms, conservative and liberal. They're worn out. They're shop worn.
One thing that's very certain as I look around and view the landscape is that voters and taxpayers are uniformly weary of what politicians have been doing to them and in this country.
I would agree with that.
And in this political season, look out and watch for some upset apple carts.